Oh my, what a luxurious ride. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the brand new 2014 Bentley Flying Spur, and I am here in China where Bentley flew me to test drive their new luxury sedan. In America, this car is going to cost $200,000, but here in China, $500,000. That's a lot of money for what is indeed a luxurious car. Oh yeah, over my shoulder, well, that is the Great Wall. Coming up next on the Fast Lane car, the brand new Bentley Flying Spur. That is the heart of the beast, and it is quite the heart. It is a twin-turbo 6-liter, 616 horsepower, 590 pound-foot of torque W12. It moves this car like a rocket ship. It's unbelievable how fast this car will accelerate from 0 to 60. Bentley says 4.3 seconds.
The most powerful Bentley
sedan.
four-door ever, yes. Yeah, 590 pounds-feet of torque, and of course, you know, Bentley's have always been renowned for their huge amount of torque at low speed, almost akin to a locomotive, where obviously, you know, a steam locomotive maximum torque is at 0 RPM. So that's what gives them this effortless drivability. You know, torque is what gives you acceleration.
You know, a lot of cars today, including Hyundais, have this new privacy screen to keep the car cool and perhaps keep the passenger hidden. But here's something that's, of course, somewhat unique to the Bentley. You wouldn't want to have to strain a finger having to lift it up and down. Of course it's electric. It's a Bentley. Alright guys, let's face it, this is really where you want to find yourself in a Flying Spur. Back here is where most of the people, at least in China, will spend their time in this luxurious car. So for instance, right now this seat is in my way. I can press this little button. Check this out. I can move the seat forward because, of course, it's all about my legroom and not the front passenger. I also have all sorts of fun gadgets back here. Perhaps the best of them is right in here, which is a refrigerator. Check it out. It holds 2 champagne bottles. So when I'm ready to party, all I have to do is pop the cork on some champagne. So Paul, you have a brand new Flying Spur, and I'm going to ask you the gotcha question first. What does the word mean, Flying Spur? Where did that come from?
Goes back to a Bentley model of the 1950s.
Okay. Now, style-wise, this car is very similar to the outgoing model. The way you can tell a Bentley Flying Spur from a Continental GT, the bigger light on the GT is on the inside, whereas with the Flying Spur, it's on the outside. Follow me over here. To make sure that you know it's a Bentley, of course, there's a stylized B right here. Standard are 19-inch wheels, but perhaps the most interesting part of the car, and the newest part of the car, is in the tail. Right here, it's this cut line. There's a much fatter, much more muscular, much beefier haunch, giving the car kind of a more sporty, more luxurious stance.
So, a comprehensively new vehicle. A lot more sporty in terms of its style, I think, as you can see. Positioned it very differently to the last vehicle. We've moved it deliberately away from the Continental 2-door family, and it's marketed it as a model line in its own right.
Now, Bentley will tell you that this Flying Spur competes with cars like the Jaguar, the new Maserati, and of course, the Mercedes S-Class. I think it directly competes with cars like the Rolls-Royce Ghost. So let's take it for a drive and see how it compares to those vehicles. The Bentley Flying Spur has paddle shifters. And of course, you can row it yourself by putting it in sport mode and then taking advantage of the brand new 8-speed transmission, which I think is now a must-have item for most luxury cars. And when you're kind of hustling it around these corners using the paddle shifters, it really comes to life. Of course, it's not a sports car. If you want a sports car, well, go for the Continental GT. This is a luxury barge, but having said that, it is remarkably light on its feet. It feels responsive and it's fun to drive. They have softened up the car a little bit, about 10%, so that it makes it a little bit more luxurious and a little bit less sporty.
Yeah, we softened the anti-roll bars off by just over 20% as well, to reduce the sort of single wheel impact loads as well.
Inside, the Bentley is everything you would imagine it to be, and by that I mean wonderful hand-stitched leather, beautiful, real, metallic controls. It just feels like you're in something that, well, costs $200,000. That's because it does cost $200,000. And the reason we're here in China is not because this is a great place to drive fast cars. We should be in Germany for that, but it's because of the over 2,000 cars they sold last year. Most of the Flying Spurs right here in China.
Yeah, certainly for the Flying Spur, we would see China as being the biggest market, followed by the US.
The US,
yeah.
I think probably the Continental does better in the US, yeah, and this does better here.
In overall terms, US is still the biggest market for us, closely followed then by China.
What is amazing is that, oh my God, whoa! That is what almost 600 pound-feet of torque feels like. The engine is just incredible. It belies the fact that this is a big, heavy, luxurious car. In terms of top-end performance, how fast will this car go?
200 miles an hour.
200 miles an hour.
0 to 60, 4.3 seconds. 0 to 100 miles an hour, 9.5 seconds.
That's quick. Really fast, yeah, for a large, luxurious sedan.
Yeah.
It's certainly muted. Oh my God! Whoa, and that is way too fast for China. I don't want to lose my brand new Chinese driver's license. This is a tsunami, or as Bentley says, a tidal wave of torque. Of course, here in China, it's all about the back seat, because if you're successful, you're not going to drive the car yourself. You're going to have somebody else drive it. And Bentley, well, they have thought of everything, including this cool little remote control that lets you control things like the heated and cooled seats, the heating and temperature controls, and of course, what luxury car would be complete if you weren't able to get the blind behind you to raise and lower at the touch of a button. Now that's luxury.
So it's built in Crewe.
Yep. The UK.
Yeah, northwest of England. Yeah. At your spiritual home of Bentley.
Yeah.
And it's a largely hand-built motor car. All the interior, all the craftsmanship you see here. So you look at the stitching here, the leather, the wood veneer, the way the steering wheel's been put together here, all handmade.
And there are two models, right? There's the base model, which is in America $200,000
yep,
about, and then there's a $210,000.
Yeah, which is the Mulliner specification. And
that gives you bigger wheels.
So you get bigger wheels. So we're actually in the Mulliner specification now. So bigger wheels. You've got the diamond quilting here to the seats and to the doors. You've got the knurled gear lever. You've got the indented headlining. You've got the drilled cast aluminium pedals. So you've got some nice features like that in the car.
Alright guys, this is definitely a bucket list item. I'm in China on the highway cruising down to Beijing in what is here a $500,000 car with the cooled seats on, hand-stitched leather, a serene torque monster of a vehicle. I guess I can check that one off my list, and I owe it all to you for watching.
The combined, your on EPA is a 15 miles
15,
per gallon.
okay.
Yep.
On the TFL scale of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it, I can't really tell you because I've only been driving the car for about an hour or two, and that's not fair. But what I can tell you is something really interesting. In my hands, I have an American driver's license, which you can't use to drive here. I have an international driver's license, which you can't use to drive here. And because of Bentley, I have a Chinese driver's license, which you can use to drive. So I figure next time I'm stopped in America, well, I'm gonna whip out this. And how do you say in Chinese, I don't speak English? As always, this is Roman, reporting for the Fast Lane Car. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Over here, is this a Bentley phone? So you get a cell phone with it?
So no, that's what we call the privacy handset.
Okay.
So basically, the car's Bluetooth enabled, but if you don't want to take a call, let's say you and I are out on business together, and I want to take a private call. So rather than taking it on my phone here, Bluetooth, I can use the privacy handset. Yeah.
So when your mistress calls you, you
absolutely.
you don't get yourself in trouble
Absolutely.
with the wife.
With a wife who's travelling with you, maybe. Yeah. Don't quote me on that.
No.